And today, Maria wanted to talk about the top mistakes sellers make when listing their property. So she has a lot of questions that I will be happy to answer. Thank you, Maria.
Course. No, thank you for having me. I know on your previous episode you had some guests in which I saw, and it was really nice. So, guys, we invite you here to contact Catalina and send your comments, send your questions, because we are here to answer. And in this beautiful episode, we will talk about most mistakes sellers make when listing a property.
Yes.
So the first question that I have for you is, what are the most common mistakes property owners make when listing their home for sale?
Price, how the property looks, lack of documents.
Lack of documents.
Lack of documents. I'm going to say it's probably the three. I can elaborate on each of them, but I know you're going to have more questions for me before I start elaborating.
Yes, well, let's start with pricing, because I think before to put your price, you need to know some things before about your surrounding and the economy. What would be those things?
I'm going to say that the top mistake that sellers make, number one, is listing at the incorrect price. And there's a lot of sellers that when you're going to list, you need to do a comparative evaluation. You need to know what are the sales that are happening in the area and to make the necessary adjustments. Because there's a lot of people that say, hey, my property, I saw a neighbor that just sold for, I don't know, $1 million.
Yes.
And they're trying to sell their own house at the same price. But maybe that property doesn't have a garage or doesn't have a pool. So the comparative evaluation is key. And the worst mistake you can do is to overlist your property, because the first weeks on the market, that's the most important.
That's the most important. That I think that from what I saw is that the first price has to be the right one at the beginning.
Absolutely.
And why and what happens when you overpriced your home, and what do you have to do after?
What happens is that you lose visibility, because the people that are looking, at least when you deal with a real estate broker, we list all the properties on a platform called Centris. If you as a buyer are looking and you have a portal that is set, let's say that your maximum budget is $1 million and I list my house at 1.1 million, you're not going to receive that house. When I am going to, and then, so you're losing visibility. And then when you reduce the price, and this, when my sellers tell me, oh, I want to test it, I want to put it, and I say, okay, so listen to this. If in 3 months I lower the price and you as a buyer are seeing the listing and you're like, oh, it's been a couple of months on the market. What are your thoughts? What do you think?
What's wrong with that house?
What's wrong with the house, right? That house is probably has something that is bad.
Yes. People don't want it, or there's something wrong, because you have to see. I think we're gonna talk about it a bit further, but like the instant pictures are so important, but they need to match the price. That's what I always say.
Exactly. They need to match the price. Yes. Exactly. You can't expect, well, yeah, of course. If you have a very small house, even if the pictures are nice, and you're asking, I don't know, $1 million, well, people add 1 plus 1.
Exactly.
So, yeah, pricing is key. It's not top.
I want to ask you, before we take the two options that you said before, I heard something that I would like to confirm with you before.
Okay.
And I've heard that here in Quebec, prices of houses are going to go a bit low in the next few years. Like a bit low. Not going down, but like a bit low. But they're not going up.
I don't agree with that.
No?
No, I don't agree with that. And I wish I had a crystal ball.
Yes.
If I did, I would be probably a millionaire. But I don't agree with that unless interest rates go up significantly. And I'm going to give you the explanation why I don't agree with that.
Okay.
So I don't agree with that because unless interest rates go up, I don't think the prices on the houses are going to go down. I don't see interest rates going up in Canada until all of this tariffs war and uncertainty with the United States is settled. And I don't see that because if the interest rates go up, the economy, what happened is that people are not going to spend that much money. And with already the increases on the prices from the tariffs things, the worst thing that could happen would be an interest rate increase. And the Bank of Canada just said it yesterday. Yes, they kept their interest, the key interest rate.
2.9?
2.75.
Okay, 2.75, yeah. Yes.
So, number one, that's why I don't see the prices going down. Number two, there is still a lot of demand of houses compared to what is being offered on the market. So in my opinion, unless there's something drastical or weird or something that changes, I don't see that happening.
Interesting. And okay, taking back to the previous question, you said the number two is the surroundings of the house.
So we said number one was the price.
Pricing, yes.
Number two is, yes, how
The
you set the house and
Exactly.
everything. But curb appeal, the exterior, is very important. Because if your house is beautiful on the inside, but outside you neglect the landscaping, people are going to just drive by.
Yes.
And again, yes, curb appeal is extremely important, but then it has to match the interior. But I'm going to say that the investment that any seller does on curb appeal is going to be reflected on the price they're going to get.
I see.
It's key. And I have, for example, a client that wants to put a property on the market, and I told him that he still needed to fix a little bit the outside, and he said, it's okay, let's do it like that. I'm like, no, we're not doing it like you fix it before we start, because or else people, the first thing, it's the first impression. It's like when you meet somebody.
It's going to reflect on your listing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what about documents? Like, what are the documents that people, like property owners, have to get ready in order to put a listing?
Okay, so it's apart from having your deed of sale and apart from having your deed of mortgage and your certificate of location, please.
That's key.
Key.
Yes.
It's key. And a lot of people also say, when I get an offer, I'm going to order it. No, you need to have it ready before, because there might be things that can show up in the certificate of location that if you don't disclose them and then you get an offer and then, I don't know, encroachments or irregularities with the zoning or something happen and you already have an accepted offer, it can just fail. And if you don't have your certificate of location ready for the time of the notary, you're going to have to, some buyers are not going to want to close until it's ready. And then the other thing would be that you're probably going to have to pay title insurance, which is an additional cost. Oh, yeah, here. So we have somebody on the live.
Yes.
Because he does mortgages. And he's high inflation is the only way interest rates will go up. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But how are we doing
so
now?
that would be something that might affect the market if the government is not able to control inflation, then yes, interest rates are going to have to go up. Why? Because when interest rates go up, people stop spending or they slow down on the spending, and that forces inflation to go down. And if that happens, then prices might go down. But
and following with the question of the person of your live, right now, how are we, like if you're seeking to buy or sell your property, how are we in the economy about inflation? Because rates have been going down.
Yeah, they
But
had been, yeah.
they have been maintaining a low type of profile, but how are they right now?
So it depends if you have an insured or uninsured mortgage. Okay, we're the top mistakes, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll just do. You love that. You love the rates, and you love every time you ask
I
me.
do.
You love the rates and the pricing, but that's
But
great.
it's because they change and people have to be updated all the time.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
that's what I love with your show, because you give the right information on time.
So, okay, so we have two types of mortgages, insured or uninsured. So insured are the ones where the buyer is putting less than 20% down. So they need to pay the mortgage insurance, so the CMHC or Canada Genworth, Canada Guarantee, or Genworth. So those ones that are insured, people are looking at rates at about 3.89 or 3.75, 79, excuse me, 3.79, 3.89, depending on the bank or the financial institution, fixed for 3 years.
Okay.
If you are going to take an uninsured mortgage, which means you're putting 20% or more, the rate is slightly higher. Why? Because the bank doesn't have a guarantee that if you don't pay, there's an insurance that's going to pay. So they compensate it with an interest rate that's a little bit higher. And there you're looking at 4.09, 4.14 fixed 3 years. So yes, they're significantly lower from last year.
Yeah.
And from the previous years. Now, Maria, that's something that people also, you would think, why the key interest rates is 2.75? Why am I paying 4, or why?
Good question.
Right?
Yeah, yes.
And many times people also ask me, why, when the Bank of Canada lowers the interest rate, why doesn't my interest rate go down?
Yeah.
Again, we have two things. So if you're on a variable rate, your rate is gonna follow the changes of the key interest rates of Canada. Doesn't mean that because it's 275 that you're gonna be paying 275, but it does change. Okay, so if you have a variable rate, your rate changes, and it can change in two ways. Either your monthly payment changes, depending on the institution, or the amount that is going to the capital,
yes,
it changes, and not your monthly payment. Okay? But when you are on a fixed rate or fixed rates, when the Bank of Canada lowers the key interest rate or brings it up, the fixed rates don't follow necessarily so quickly that change on the key interest rate. Why? Because the financial institutions have already loaned that money, and they depend on many other macroeconomical factors. For example, instability or things happening with I don't know, with the United States or whatever it is. So people have to stop thinking that when the interest rate goes down, the key interest rate goes down, that the fixed mortgages are going to go, the fixed interest rate is
that's something that I always ask you this question, because it changes so much, and it depends of so many things. And I hear many close friends or people that own property, how they don't understand rates, and they don't understand the economy. But you have a property. That's the importance of following what's going on with Canada, what's going on with the world, and what's going on with the economy, because that affects your monthly payment to your mortgage.
And you're touching something that's very important, and it's, again, the urban myths.
Yeah.
Many people don't follow economy. Many people don't follow, and they're giving opinions about, oh, it's not a good time to buy. Oh, it's not a good time to sell. Oh, Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Give me the numbers, give me the stats, give me the reasons, give me the reasoning behind your opinion. So that's why, yes. And if you don't follow because you have,
Yeah.
because you're busy or because
They
at
just-
least
they
ask
just don't.
somebody, right?
Yeah, they just don't follow it. But talking about something that you touched, and it's people that even if they don't have the knowledge or they're not interested, they tend to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And I heard a TikTok today, and I wanted to share it with you. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's okay.
Yes, sure.
But I wanted to put it here for you guys to hear it as well, because it was very interesting, and I wanted to have the opinion of a great realtor here in Montreal.
You don't own a house by 2027 and you're a first time buyer, you are going to be sucked into that. And I think buyers right now, I think they've got about another maybe 3 to 8 months that if they get into the market, and they should get into the market within the next 8 months, like between now and then, because I think things are going to change, and I think it's going to start happening. I think we're going to see a little bit of a flurry in the beginning of 2026 in the spring, and then it's going to settle again. But 2027, look out. If you don't own a house by 2027 and you're a first time buyer, you are going to be sucked into that time warp where you're going to go, I wish I bought, and then you're going to sit there and wait again for to balance out. So you may have to wait. If you don't do this now, you may have to wait another 10, 15 years. Guaranteed.
Yes, tell me about this, because
I agree.
If
I
you
agree.
don't have a property, what's going to happen in the next few years?
Look, there's people that buyers keep waiting. And then I have one client that I've been working with probably since the pandemic. And she's like, I'm going to wait and things are going to come down and we're overpaying. And now we're looking at the same type of properties 3 years after, and they've increased in price 30%.
Yeah.
So yes, and with everything that's happening between the US and Canada, and I said this in one of my stories at the beginning of the year, and somebody said, "Oh, you're exaggerating, or you're just creating panic." No, I'm not creating panic. I'm not exaggerating. I'm just saying that with all that instability and without us knowing if, like the mortgage broker that I was commenting on the live, without knowing if inflation can be really controlled, and inflation doesn't depend solely on what happens with the Canadian economy. Well, we might be looking at interest rates going up again in 2 years. So
Crazy.
who knows?
Yes.
So who knows?
And you know what? The fear is for the people that have a mortgage, and they have a time period. You know, when the mortgage rate, you have the contract, the 5-year contract, and then it's the end
term.
of the your
Yes.
term, and then you have to restart, but you have to restart at how the economy is in the present moment. That's another fear. So I don't know how that will be in 2007.
Yes, but
27.
again, people have to remember that when banks pre-approve you for, or when they approve you for the mortgage, they don't qualify you on the interest rate that you're currently paying.
Okay.
So let's say if I am paying, and that I spoke about it with the mortgage brokers that came to the show a couple of weeks ago, and is if the interest rate today is, let's say, 4%, the bank is not qualifying you on 4%. They're probably qualifying you almost at 6%. So that when the time comes to renew the mortgage, if the interest rates go up, you can still afford your mortgage. So don't be afraid. And that is something that buyers are always afraid of. You're already that scenario is also being covered by the banks.
Interesting. Well, and talking about a bit of all of your knowledge that you're giving us right now, what is the mistake to sell a property without someone like you, a real estate agent?
Well,
and why not?
Maria, well, how are you going to look for comparables if you want to sell your house? Where are you going to go look? Are you going to go knock on your neighbors' doors that have sold? Right? That's number one. So you're going to need somebody to guide you to do a comparative evaluation. Okay, if you don't want to hire a realtor, you can always hire an evaluator.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, are you going to be available to do visits of your house every day at any time? How are you going to deal with your emotions when they say that they don't like your living room, or when they and you're there as an owner? You don't like people saying that your house is not nice or whatever.
Oh, because
not that I'm saying that your house is not nice.
But you get, I get, as a real estate agent, you get those comments of people visiting houses and having bad reviews. Okay.
And you have the shield of the real estate broker. And when it's time to negotiate, look, it's as simple as on my own. When I'm gonna sell my properties, I use the services of one of my colleagues, because believe it or not, I do get emotional.
Yeah.
So I do think that someone that's specialized it's like anything. You can cook your own food, you can do your own bread, you can sew your own clothes, everything, but there's specialized people for everything, single thing. And I do believe that when you hire a good realtor, that commission that you pay to the realtor comes back to you with a higher price when you sell, or with a good negotiation when you buy.
Interesting. And talking a bit about like the legal department of because when you are doing all the documentation of your property, and you're not being honest and disclosing to everything that you may have in your property, how can failing to properly disclose property issues backfire on sellers legally and financially?
Well, you can get sued by your buyer. You can get sued by your buyer if you sell with legal warranty, and even if you sell without legal warranty, because that's a misconception. People think that if you sell without legal warranty that the buyer cannot sue you. No, that's not true.
I didn't know that, because some properties are sold as is.
Yes.
And people take it as, okay, so if I'll risk it, and if something happens, well, I'm on my own now.
Even if you buy without legal warranty, if you discover something that was clear that the seller knew, so it's not a hidden defect but a latent defect, and that they hid it with purpose, you do have a recourse against them.
What about mold?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends. If you find mold and that it was impossible to know because it was in between walls and there was no evidence of anything, that would be a hidden defect. If you buy without legal warranty, you have no recourse. Okay. But if you open a wall and there's mold and you see that the seller had fixed water issues and those water issues were not declared, that is not a hidden defect. That's a latent defect, and you have a recourse against the seller, even if you bought without legal warranty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So even if, for example, you bought a house and it goes a year goes by and you notice some mold that it was actually like
they patched it and they cleaned it and
you
everything.
Can sue?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, at that point, before starting to get into legal procedures, the first thing you need to do is call the previous seller.
Okay.
Call and say, hey, look, this is what I found. Come. Are you willing to settle? Bring the seller also has the right to bring somebody to evaluate. And what you should never do in a case of a hidden or latent defect is arrange or fix the issue and then try to get money from the seller. Once you touch the problem without communicating first with the seller, you're done.
Yeah, you're done. And what about timing, impact of the sale of a property?
Yes, timing is key. There's great periods to sell. Like, for example, the spring market.
We've talked a bit about seasons. How important are the seasons?
Yeah, they're very important. So spring market is great. I do still think that the winter market is very good.
How?
Because you're not competing against 1 million people that are all trying to sell during the spring. Whoever puts a jacket at -40 and goes and visits your house is because that buyer is serious. And I've done great deals in the winter. Now, what I do believe is not a good season to list is during the summer, especially during construction holidays, because there's nobody in town.
There's nobody in town.
No, yeah, exactly.
Well, we talk a bit about documents, but how important it is to prepare everything in advance.
It's key. Like me, for example, before I list a property, I don't list a property until I have all the documents.
Okay.
For a house, for a condo, because, and I saw it with somebody, I'm not going to say too much about it, but...
You know what, I think Catalina has too much gossip.
We can do a gossip show. But I saw a case of a realtor that took a listing.
Yeah.
The seller had done an extension of the house.
Okay.
The broker and the seller did not, the broker didn't ask for those permits from the city. Guess what? When they're going to pass at the notary discovers that the extension was done without permits. The sale, it got delayed by 6 months.
My God.
They lost the buyer. They had to get a new buyer. So that's why, and same thing with the certificate of location. Now, for co-ownership, it's very important to have the minutes and the financial statements. And people, listen to me. Starting, I think it's August 24th. I don't know the exact date, but it's at the end of August. Part of the changes in the co-ownership laws, which is Bill 16, there's a new thing that says that every syndicate of co-owners is going to have to give a new certification with a whole bunch of additional information.
No way.
And now it is mandatory. It starts at the end of August. If somebody has a question, you can send me a DM. I don't have it because I had not prepared exactly for that, but there's a new certification that every co-ownership is going to have to give to a buyer even before going to the notary.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's something
It's
that we
new.
could talk.
It's new.
That's
Yeah.
something that we could talk in the future episodes. But what tips could you give to someone preparing to list their property today to avoid costly mistakes?
Please list it at the proper price. Number 2, please have your property ready, outside and inside. Little things like, even if you feel your property it's nice, it's not necessarily renovating, but for example,
Staging properly.
Staging. If a door is not locking properly, just fix the door. If there's little, that's key. Now, number 3, get a good photographer. Number 4, be as thorough as possible on the seller's declaration, because buyers, they don't get scared of what you declared. What they do not like is the lack of transparency. Once they start seeing, for example, oh, that person didn't tell me, and then the mistrust kicks in, and it's very difficult to make the deal happen.
Now we know. But I had one last question for you to this amazing show, and talk to us about houses that are listed and that are redone due to a fire. Why are they viewed differently, and what is it? Is there any difference at the moment to list and sell or buy?
Yes, it depends on how much of an impact that fire had on the house. If it touched the foundation, and the house wasn't fully gutted and the foundation's redone, you're getting into a risky thing.
Why?
Especially, because structurally speaking, fires always affect the structure of the house tremendously.
Okay.
If it was a small fire, and it doesn't affect the structure, but last week I had an example of a client that wanted to buy a condo in a building that had been affected by a fire. In that case, it was, I advised the client that it was okay because they had redone everything from zero, from foundation.
They did it. Oh, okay.
But I've had...
That's something that an insurance can do, I think, or no?
Yes, the insurance. And again, there we go. That's an important document. When you're listing a condo for sale, you need to make sure that the insurance of the building is fully covering the 100% of the reconstruction cost of that building, and that the reconstruction cost of that building was evaluated every certain amount of time. We're doing like we say in Spanish, salpicón of subjects. Like
yes, well,
we have
we have many topics which are very important and very interesting. But would that affect the pricing at the moment of listing?
Absolutely, yes. If you've gone through a fire, you're gonna have to discount your price, unless you did engineer works or like really. And again, it depends on how big the fire was, but yes, it does affect your price.
I see. Well, thank you so much, Catalina, for another
My
episode.
pleasure.
Yeah, and thank
My
you for
pleasure.
having me here.